below on YouTube or Facebook. YouTube I'll focus a lot on, so go over to YouTube and whack the questions in the super chat there. Now, that's a great question. So to give you some background, I've had close to 20 years in dance sport and competition. I run a dance studio for 10 years as a professional, and I also have created an online course called Ballroom Mastery Academy. Why that's important is Module 6 is about training and performance, right? And there's like, I think 30 or 50 videos, and I've sort of broken them up, and I'll just give you an idea of what to think like. So May is a good time to compete. You're 30 days out. You want to think of it as realizing that there's not a huge amount you're going to be able to improve upon within yourself in the next 30 days, for example. So let's just treat the comp as 30 days. Could be the end of May, so that's you got more time. But this is the fallacy people go with in competing. Any skill development. You basically, what you're doing now is the level of skill you're going to bring on the day. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to dance worse or anything like that necessarily, but you're not going to dance like exponentially better. So what you got to get comfortable doing is really knowing your routines. Like this is so obvious, but people screw this up all the time because they get very caught up on technique, right? So I would highly recommend that you go deep into, so 30 days out, it's 4 weeks, right? So week 4 and 3, fix any problems you have with timing, choreography, where you are facing the audience, positioning of the routines, right? So all that has to be dialed in, and that way you get it sort of sorted. And don't try to fix any technique in the weeks 2 and 1 of the comp. Don't do that to yourself. It's too stressful. Plus, you probably don't have enough time because you may not be dancing every day, right? So you want to use as much time as possible to how do you want to look on the day, and that's the sort of performance you want to do. So there's the training, there's the rehearsal, and there's the performance, right? So the training aspect is weeks 4 and 3, and then the rehearsal aspect is weeks 2 and 1. Maybe you want to do the whole month rehearsal. And what I mean by rehearsal, I'll just go into this because I think it's a really great question. Rehearsal is, and what separates it from training, and I sort of make this distinction a little bit. Like your body doesn't know, right? Your body does not know when you're training, and it doesn't know the difference between real and imagined. So a lot of dancers make the mistake of going to a studio and they will go in and they'll half dance. They'll dance very inaccurately. So they'll dance with not much energy, not much enthusiasm, and then they'll dance weak, and then they'll expect on the day to have this out-of-world performance but what they've done is confuse their body. They've confused their nervous system and their muscular system in the sense that they've gone in, danced every movement, held back. They've danced their routines half-assed, and because of that, they have confused themselves and their brain about what is real. And then on the comp day, most people overdance to compensate, and they screw themselves. Nerves play a factor in that too. And so you have to anticipate in the next 30 days, what do you want to look on the day? And then that's how you should approach all of your rehearsals. You should be rehearsing as you want to look. You always want to rehearse as you want to look. Now, you may not be able to train like that every single day because that's what technique does. So anyways, I know it's a long answer, but it's a big question you've actually asked me. So to make it simple, practice or train as you want to look. Your body doesn't know the difference between what's real and imagined. So be aware of where you're dancing, what you're doing, and then make sure that the week of the comp itself, and definitely 2 weeks out, you're not fixing any technique. Then about, depending on your level too, if you're a beginner, you don't have to go too seriously, but you want good sleep, you want good nutrition, you want to look after your body and that sort of thing, and visualize, right? So the last thing I would recommend people is to visualize. Start listening to music, seeing your competition routine as you want it to be danced within the actual arena or place you're dancing. And that's a little bit of a high-level tactic if this is your first year of competing, but it's a wonderful way of focusing in on things. Now, I have a video on my YouTube channel about visualization in dancing, and it is something that I did a lot of competing, and it helped a tremendous amount. But please remember that the saying goes, you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your level of preparation. So you don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on your level of preparation. And so amateurs really don't understand that, and they push very hard on the day to try to train, practice. I made these mistakes, by the way. Train, practice, do the extra things on the day. That doesn't help. So how you look now is basically how you're going to be. You want to get those little bit extra bits polished, and then rehearse to music, to music, to music, to music, to music. Okay? So again, fantastic question. Thank you for that. And if you want any more specific advice, feel free to chuck that in. If I can get to it, I will. So we've done the favorite style. Okay. Gabby, remember to smash that like, ladies and gentlemen. You got to tell people up in here this is happening, and remember to send it to your partner. What's the counting in Foxtrot and Tango, and what's the action in every count of them? Wow, you just smacking me in the face today with the question. That is a crazy question. It's a good question. I'm gonna change the mood. Does it work? Ooh, right, feel free. Let's play with these colors. Okay, so well, the counting in Foxtrot. So there's what we call counts and then beats and bars. So in the window, chat window, whoever wants a virtual high five, put the counts for Foxtrot in the window, okay? What are they? Right, let's just see. I feel like I should have some waiting music. I don't have waiting music. Oh, let's test you because I know what they are. Like, do you know what they are? Right, let's glockenspiel. Yeah, we're not using that. So, okay, so what are the timing, right? What is the counts? The counts go, the rhythm counts, slow, slow, quick, quick, slow is one way to count, right? That's the basic way to do it. So each step has its own rhythm count, and then beats and bars go 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 8. So basically, a slow is worth 2 counts, and a quick is worth 1. So when you learn a routine, you learn feather step, slow, quick, quick, right? And then you might learn a reverse turn, slow, quick, quick, and then a feather finish, slow, quick, quick, and then slow. And then that feather step goes 1, 2, 3, 4. The reverse turn goes 2, 2, 3, 4. And then the feather finish goes 3, 2, 3, 4, right? And then 4, 2. So the idea being that you're using 2 beats for a slow and 1 for a quick. That helps with getting into the music, understanding where it is in the phrasing, okay, and then dancing more musical from that perspective. So I always encourage people, write down your routines, write down the step names, write down the rhythm counts, write down the beats and bars. That'll help very much in what to do. Tango is pretty much the same, except it depends on the song. So with tango, you'll find, and this can be hard to hear, like I have trouble with hearing this sometimes, that modern songs are often 4 beats to a bar, but traditional tango, the Blackpool tangos, and those sorts of things that we dance to typically is actually 2 beats to a bar. So you have, in this sense, you still count slow, slow as an example, or slow, slow, quick, quick in the tango. But if you have 2/4, you'll count 1 and 2 and as the beats and bars. And if it's 4/4, you'll count 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. But the same rules apply. A slow is still going to be danced like a little bit like legato, and quick's going to be danced with that staccato feeling. So the idea being there is that you just got to understand the difference in the time signature for those dances. Okay, it's a good question. Thank you for asking. And the action in every count, look, that's getting into a different level. I reckon you join Ballroom Mastery Access and start going through the lessons in that, because you're going to understand each step has its own flavor, so to speak. So the tango is a character dance, okay? And then you've got the constructs of the tango being figures. You put figures together, that makes a routine. And then that routine is what you rehearse and practice, right? And then you change the routine with different figures. And then when you do that, you might change the timing a little bit, but you certainly change the feet. And then the feet, musical feet, are what create, not what create, but like the rhythm changes, right? So the timing changes when you interconnect the figures, right? And if you swap and change them around, you have to know the sort of rules and the feeling. But the basic idea is that in tango, you want your slows to be lengthened, like slow to what we call legato. You stretch it out a little bit, and then your quicks need to be short and sharp. So quick, quick. That's what the staccato rhythm is in dance. And a lot of people only think of tango as stop and start, and that's the dance it's known for. But there's a lot of stretching, and that's what legato is. And so that's a basic way that you can play with the current routine you have without me seeing it. Stretch out the slows and make the quick short and sharp. And then, of course, there's and counts, which change up the dynamic. So it does get a complicated answer. But anyways, check out the program. That will definitely help you out for sure, because you will become a mistress or a master of the tango that way. All right? Or our style. Bonjour. I do not speak the French. Merci. Let me see. Well, hold on a second. Let me see if I can do a little hack here. By the way, you got any more questions for me? Bring them on. Bring them on. If you're liking this, smash that like, right? The reason people do that, by the way, on YouTube, the reason they ask for that is because there's a lot of competition for attention. So it actually helps me to get people to watch this video that are already on the channel. Because even if you've subscribed, you probably won't see this video. So you need to tell YouTube, hey, good content, man. All right, so any more questions? Liv, by the way, Liv, if you want any more help on that one, let me know. Let's put that up there. Okay, so let me see the French question translation. Oh, happy to have found you. Thank you, Chantel. I'm happy to have found you. Why don't you make French subtitles? That's a good idea. I will plan to do that. All right, so I'm starting to do that with Japanese subtitles. So let me have a look at that. Okay. Rich. What's up, Rich? Do you think Vaughan is going to the average family like in old times? Oof. You know, that's a good question. No. I don't think it will. And here's why. So stay with me for this one, because this is a good question and it's something I've thought deeply about, given the fact that I've created an entire brand and business model, taking a very big risk in putting this time and attention online and building the courses and programs I have. And in 2011, I also founded the world's first live streaming of dance sport competitions. Okay, so that's sort of where I saw dancing going, and the inspiration was sort of like, well, wouldn't it be cool if, like, what Formula One before it existed, right, was just a bunch of dudes racing cars in a paddock, okay? And then there was one entrepreneur who like brought it together, packaged it, got money involved, and, you know, it became what it is today. I think the problem with current society versus the old times, and I do like looking back in history a lot, is that attention is too divided. So you've got people who have not only these phones, right, which have an insane amount of unlimited options with apps and the internet, but then you've got the extracurricular activities that all of the children get to participate in, and the stupid pressure of parents like saying you should do like 5 things a week. Like, why? Right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, maybe do 2 or 3, but like not so many. But that's the problem. So as a business owner, as a dance studio operator, do you know what my biggest competition is, Rich? Have a guess. What do you think? I really need some thinking music up on this. What's my biggest competition, do you think? Do you think it's girlfriends? Right, can be the boyfriends too. Do you think it's the homework? It's Netflix, right? So often people won't even bother coming into the studio because they just can't be bothered, right? So those problems didn't exist. Like in the mid 19th century, early 20th century, where technology was just getting that sort of revolution. No. I don't think it's dead. No. I'm going to come on to that. It's not dead. No. Just understand what I'm saying, because there's and this, I'll explain why. But just understand the landscape. Okay, there was no access to internet. There was no access to TVs. Really, like that became sort of more 80s and 90s, and in more going into everyone's homes on a 2 or 3 in each house. Not just one. And so then the dynamics change. People start to go into school, go into work, but then do all these extracurricular activities. And the way people met, see, this is one of the things that I don't see discussed a lot, but a strong feeling was that your grandparents, if they're in the Western society, like England, Australia, Canada, New Zealand, a lot of them, the grandparents, and then maybe even your parents, met in dance halls. That's how they got laid. That's how they got some of the Friday night what's up. And of course, that was a big catalyst, right? That's a big drive. Come on now. What you gonna do? Go to the pictures, listen to the wireless, right? So you got no shit, you got no options. So the dance hall, big town halls, hundreds of people going, you know your missus is going to be there if you're a dude. You're going to go. You suck at dancing, you don't care because you know the tail is there. And so that's where you go. And then you find your girl and you get out. And so that's often what happened. But people would pick up this hobby and dance class would be an offer. And before that, here's one of the cool things, Rich, to know about the history of ballroom dancing. The BBC in England for like 30 years used to do free audio lessons on the public broadcasting channel throughout England. So people would learn in their homes. So we don't see that anymore, right? Because the attention's too divided. So what do you see? Well, dance halls now, real estate-wise, the economy has changed. So you don't see halls being of value being that big because why? Hundreds of people are not dancing there every Thursday and Friday night because there's nothing else to do. Okay, so that's out of the picture. Then you don't have the push of a massive corporation pushing ballroom dancing for a public sake, which remember, ballroom dancing started up in first class level where, you know, royalty, top sports people would actually dance. And then it sort of filtered down to the lower classes. It was sort of like quite a hoity-toity thing, yeah? And so it still has that feeling, but it's now, you know, changed a lot, like all levels can access, so to speak, in the class structure. So what ends up happening is now, okay, we've got too much time, too much attention, and then you've got the confluence of all these options people can have. And culturally, people don't need to meet each other that way anymore. Okay, so but here's what I've noticed. Disco's dead because that was part of an era of, say, nightclubbing, Studio 54, that sort of scene, and was popular videos, but it didn't catch on the same way. And then I've found running a studio that there's heaps of people that, thanks to Dancing with the Stars, thanks to Strictly Ballroom, and thanks to the grandparents and the parents who danced medals, have pushed their kids into dancing. So I've got teenagers dancing, right? They will come to, I've still got to fight with them about the attention of, you know, football, basketball, other dance styles, but they're aware of ballroom dancing. But I run marketing campaigns to sort of the earlier age groups, always saying, fundamentally, do you still love dance? Does your love for dance still exist, but you're burned out with the other styles? Because ballroom dancing is the last down the line if you're a teenager, typically, right? It's sort of like, I've done the Irish dancing, I've done the jazz, I've done the tap, I've done the hip hop, I'm done. Oh, but maybe there's this ballroom dancing thing. My mom said this, you know, about 14, 15, 16, you sort of see them getting that little spark, and it's generally better because they're doing it on their own volition, and then they stay a little longer. And so often I've had clients stay with me from 18 to 28, but then they go and have a family, right? So this is part of the problem. And this is great for me. I like going into this topic. I don't care how long it takes. It's really cool to understand these ideas. So if we look at and this, if you run a dance studio, this is very good to know. So you look at these gaps, yeah? You got the parents saying teenagers dance because my parents did it. I did my medals. It's really great. They dance teenagers, 20s, 28, then they stop, and then they go and have a family, and they come back in like they're 50. So you see this massive upswing, nothing sort of between 28 to like 50, right? Rarely, unless they're doing dance sport, which is a small section. And then 50 plus, you've got this like glut of people coming in and learning to dance again because they did it as a teenager, right? That's played out over the last 20 years I've been in the industry, yeah? And I don't see that changing. I really don't. I see the model, and this is what people who, if you are watching this and you run a dance studio, you need to understand what I'm saying. The model has changed, but people still love to dance. So Rich, I ask you, do you love to dance? Yes. Okay. So ballroom dancing will always be something people love to do. I don't see that going away. Otherwise, I don't think I'd even bother doing half of this stuff. But the model's changed. So you can't just walk down the road into a studio like you could. You couldn't just go on a Thursday or Friday night to go for a ballroom dance. In fact, social dance is very difficult to find. So as a business-minded individual, you have to think, how do I get the attention of people? Well, go to where they are. They're not in the halls, they're online. That's where you get the attention. You fight against the hip-hop that just made it into the Olympics, which is like a bunch of people who have been sprayed with like bug spray and they're on the floor twitching and shit. Like, that's like, come on, man. Like, that's not a dance style. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand it, and I like hip-hop dancing, but come on. It's nowhere near the technique of, say, ballroom or ballet. So anyway, the point is it's more appealing, okay? So just like Formula One's appealing to the masses, so is the idea of so is the idea of hip-hop dancing and breakdancing. It's culturally appealing to a wide base, whereas ballroom dancing is not. So I'll make one more reference here that's important to note. Ballroom dancing is still an art, just like ballet. So in a way, it's sort of like asking, is ballet going to go out of style? No, it is not. But it isn't for everyone. It's refined. It's more accessible. Like ballroom dancing is far more accessible. But the problem with ballroom dancing is it requires a partner, which makes it capped. Yeah. Whereas ballet is accessible to basically men and women, but basically all the girls do it more than the boys. But again, it's capped by age because you hit a certain ceiling and you die, right? So you just can't do that level to your 80. Whereas ballroom dancing, you can go your whole life, but you generally need a partner, right? So there's always dynamics playing out, but I don't see it going anywhere. Anyway, thank you for listening to me. I've been thinking about this a lot. So it's a good question, and you guys rock for letting me drone on. Okay. My vision, just so everyone knows, I am doing this because I want more people to dance, okay? I want people around the world who don't have access to studios. I got people in Zimbabwe who watch these videos, who don't have a studio, who can't access world-class coaches because we're so few and far between, and can be quite costly, right, to hire us personally. But this is free information, free to air. It's for anyone who wants to learn and put the work in, I charge a nominal amount for hundreds of videos where you can learn every single ballroom dance, right, for like $9 a week or $150 a year. So like you can learn if you want to do it. And I see that inspiration coming from people, and I really hope, and my pray is that we can keep building that in the culture and not lose it. That would be wonderful, okay? So how do adjudicators judge a routine? What do I look for? It's a good question. I might come back to that. Thank you so much for answering. Any tips on lengthening your strides, particularly in the quick step? I definitely find it hard when it's faster tempo. Okay. They have classes in American. Yes. So different market though. America's great because it's got this whole college setup where you can, if you're a startup business and do you want to know how you're going to make it as a startup generally in the tech world? As an idea, one major idea is you launch it into the campuses, and if it takes off there, you've got a great beta test to know that your product might do well elsewhere. That's how Facebook started, by the way. Facebook started in college campuses. It took off virally, and then there's something here. Any tips for dancing tango when it's slippery? Yes, I do. Okay, so let me come back to these real quick. So, okay, how do judges judge a routine? We'll keep these ones a bit short and sharp. It depends on the organization. So bias exists. It doesn't matter what anyone says. Bias exists, right? So, but a professional judge will do their best to not have that bias influence what they're seeing. Because technically speaking, even if you're judging a world championship final, everyone should be judged according to the merits of what they're doing then and there. So maybe they had a good semifinal, but a shit final. They can't have that semifinal be the thing that helps them do well in the final, right? So that's what a pro does, is hopefully they're carrying across the board. So a professional adjudicator would judge accordingly based on what they're seeing, right? And then they would do it, to the others. And I was always told, look fabulous in 4 seconds because you never know when you're going to be looked at. So you might be looked at the end of your routine. You need to look just as good then as you did at the beginning. Very good idea to keep in mind. Now, judges can make up their mind immediately because if you've been trained, you've got the eyes, immediately when you look at someone, everything is weighed up. And what are they weighing up? Well, let's keep it like the skating system and figure skating. You've got technique, choreography, complexity of routine, execution, musicality, timing, those sorts of things. So partnering, all that is like quickly assessed. So you're not trying to methodically do it. It's just a snap judgment, 4 seconds, and then in a final you get a bit more time. So here's what I said in a previous video you should go and watch. Please watch this last live I did about owning your space on the dance floor. I was talking about ensuring your technique is super solid because it is assumed if you're on a floor, your technique is going to be good. It's how you access better movement, better musicality, right? So with that in mind, the better movement, the better musicality is what people see, the body tone, the expression of it, the way you perform it, the way you sell it to the judges and the audience, yeah? So your technique isn't what you're being judged on, but it needs to be really good because the better that is, the more access you have to the quality movement people are looking for, and the more I can connect with what you're doing. So if you're self-conscious because you lose balance, your posture's not good, your timing's off, that's a technical problem. And you have to fix that to actually do better in competition dancing, right? Because what you ultimately want is the ability to be able to move freely in perfect balance without losing it. And if you say, I want to spin once, spin twice, you can, and you don't fall over and die, right? Or if you need to do a lock, you don't look like you're having a seizure, right? Or if you're doing the quick step, you don't look like you're about to have like a conniption and fall over. And that's all technique foundations, yeah? So with that in mind, it's not what you're being judged on. That's the paradox, because people get really caught up on technique and don't know how to also train themselves for performing. Okay, so that's why I created Ballroom Mastery Academy, is to start tipping that side into your practice as well, because you don't want to ignore that. Okay, anyway, so I hope that helps you. Okay, live strides. Okay, so this is a problem for everyone, so please let's, by the way, if you're liking this, keep that like going, and let me know a few more questions. Yes. Oh, great. I'm seeing question in the window here. I need to really just be able to look at two screens at once. Okay, cool. So let me come back to the question. So strides. You do not worry about lengthening your strides. Oh my God, I just be controversial. There's a reason though. Okay, so I haven't seen your dancing. So remember, I'm just like imagining what you mean by this question. So why do you think you shouldn't lengthen your strides? Why do you think you shouldn't just stretch out your strides? Because that's very artificial movement, right? So if I'm stretching out so I'm trying to, let's just say you're going forward with your left foot and then you're trying to go to the side. How far should you step? Well, if your step is like this big, that's not good, right? Because that's not how you walk. So dancing is built on walking, right? So you always want your belly button, the center of your body, to be able to collect over your foot when you finish the movement, and your back foot not to be sliding around like a crazy person. So there's a way to drive your movement to make it sort of perfect. And so the idea, here's the idea. Okay, let's make it simple. How big should you step? What's the biggest you should step in as a dancer? What do you think? Write it in the window. Let me know your answer. What is the biggest you can step? And the answer is the length of your leg. So from your hip to your heel, that's the length that you should step. Why? Because if you stepped any bigger, your center won't be able to collect over the foot without you losing balance, right? So, okay. If you step short on that, that's fine too, right? Depends on the step. But if you try to stride bigger because you want better quality movement, what that means is you don't understand how to fall and how to actually step properly in ballroom dancing, which is the walk. Now, it sounds really simple, but it's actually quite difficult to master the ballroom walk, just like rumble walks. So there's a video on my channel. Check it out. It's on the YouTube channel, and it's called Forward Walks in Ballroom Dancing. Have a look at it. Understand how the feet move. There's another one called Backward Walks, which is probably more important for women, men too, but definitely women, on how the feet collect in terms of weight. You'll notice the size of the step, and it's not being overdone. All right, because I always caution people against, like, don't even worry about long steps, short steps, because you're wanting to create a certain type of movement when you dance, and that is driving and creating flight, and then making sure you can always collect your weight with your body correctly so you don't overstride. Okay. Anyway, if that made no sense, that's totally cool. It's much easier when you look at that video I referenced as well. Okay. Any tips for dancing tango or quick step when it's a slippery floor? Anyone else have that problem? Anyone else have the problem with slippery floor? Yeah. It limits your ability to be sharp. Yeah, it does. Okay, so here's the thing. A slippery floor, unless you're dancing on an ice skating rink, what is a slippery floor? Because I noticed some things happen in my own dancing as I got better and better. I noticed my ability to dance on a slippery floor became non-existent. I didn't notice the slippery floor anymore. It disappeared. So where did it go, right? What ended up happening is more floor pressure. So what you need to do, first of all, not in tango, but in quick step. So in the swing dances, quick step, foxtrot, and waltz, pay attention. You need floor pressure. If your feet come off the floor, you have no floor pressure. If you have no floor contact, you are going to slip. If, like Liv was asking, you overstride, you take too big a step, you're going to slip. So you have to actually adjust the size of your steps if the floor is what we call fast, right? So fast floor, slow floor. A fast floor is like an ice skating rink. So if you try to dance like what you're normally used to, you might find the floor, it doesn't support you as much. Okay, so you need a bit more pressure through your heels, for example, when you drive forward. Then when you go onto the toes, you need to feel the feet. They actually collect with pressure. So the feet they skim the floor, but there's actually pressure through the balls of the feet and the insides of the toes, and then through the groin, that actually comes together to help stabilize you. So there's always a contact to the floor. So if you do a natural turn in the waltz or in the quick step, so you step on the heel, then the toe, then you go to the side on the toe, right? You use pressure through the closing foot as well to keep you in contact with the floor, to keep you stable. The lighter you are through your toes, the more your foot comes off, the more balance you lose. And if you're on a fast fall particularly, you die, right? Like you fall over, you slip. You're like, oh my God. And so always remember this. What causes bad balance or a loss of balance? What is it? I'll show you, right? So I'll stand up, and you can do this now. Whoop, microphone, what's up? Okay, so this is my belly button here. Now, if I was just to stand normally and just pull this forward continually, I'm going to fall onto my computer, right? Why? Well, if I go sideways, I'll do the same thing. So if I just keep pulling it, pull, and I don't move my feet, what's going to happen? You'll fall. And the reason you fall is because your center goes off and over the feet. And you'll say, that's genius, Vaughan. I knew I should have watched this. And I'll say, well, what we don't think about is when we're moving, in any movement, any form of movement, is we're not aware of our center matching up with what our feet are doing. And so, and your partner if he's doing this, will knock you off, right? So you're trying to make sure that you're keeping balance through making sure your center collects with your feet, which is your weight, on every step. And then you adjust that accordingly for the floor you're on. So if the floor is sticky, which is like a slow floor, you have to understand how to dance maybe a bit lighter, because more pressure is going to grip you, right? And then what? Your center falls over when you have speed. So learning to adjust to the floor is very important. But I always say to people, the floor isn't fast. You're just not in control of your weight. The floor isn't slow. You're just not knowing how to let go. And so that's what you play with. And as you get more experience, you'll start to give less shits about the floor. You won't care as much. Okay, you won't care about the floor as much. It won't bother you as much because you unconsciously adjust. But in the beginning, it's terrifying. Oh, the floor's fast. I can't dance. Like, okay. Is it the floor or you, my friend? Okay, so who's in control here? A piece of wood or your feet? All right. So, yep, that's cool. Okay, by the way, when you're doing competition, they don't like water on your shoes, but I loved water. I love dapping my feet. Come on, I'm not perfect, man. I love to dab my freaking suede shoes in a bit of water and get on that floor, but it didn't last. So unfortunately, like I had 5 dances to do. 2 dances in, I've lost all my grip. So I'm like, uh-oh. Okay, cool. Y'all are great, by the way. Thank you. Hope y'all enjoying this. Keep the likes coming. Smash me with some super chats. I got children to feed. All right, let's go. All right. A woman likes to be touched with proper dancing skills from her leader. You know, I was going to do a podcast time before I did this question and answer. I was ready to do it, but I want to do something on toxic leading, right? Risk getting cancelled. So the idea being, basically just going through what women want in dancing, okay? And also to women, what you want from your man, and not to get that shit confused, because it gets confused all the time. And many men turn into like weak men who can't lead. They become like submissive little bitches, and then the women lose respect, and then they start bossing the man around, and it's just a terrible dynamic, and then nobody gets happy, and there's no good leading. And then also too, I've seen women become like too passive, like not understanding that following for a woman is the art of invisible leading, right? So there's this reciprocity happening in leading and following, not a dominance and submission sort of idea. So, not too much of that, but yeah. So anyway, but that's something I'd like to go to. I might come on that a little later. A woman likes to be touched with proper dancing skills from her leader. Yeah, that's true. Man, you got some good points and big questions there, or big ideas. I've done ballet since I was 3, started in November. I finished my ballet exams and fell in love with ballroom. Yep, you got it. You know it, Liv. You got a bright future ahead of you. I was a dinosaur when I started. I was 18. I classified dinosaur because I wanted to dance seriously in competition, and everyone was a champion at 18. But we still made it up to world representative level for 10 dance for our country and did it a couple of times, went overseas, the top echelon. You can do it if you just put the work in, right? We gave ourselves 10 years, 6 days a week of training, off we went to the races. And yeah, it's possible. So you may not, you know, I didn't even really think we could be number one in the world or anything like that, but we could certainly give it a crack and get up there. And, you know, anything's possible. You don't know, right? You don't know how far you can go until you press it. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's put these questions up a little bit more. If you've liked this, make sure you support the channel. It'd be very, very cool. I have big goals, big visions, and I need cash to do it. I need support from y'all. And I'm coming to LA as well at the end of the month. So if anyone's in America and would like to catch up for in-person lessons, just to give a freaking high five if you see me in the Emerald Ball, I would love to say hello and have a quick chat, you know. Don't be fooled by the teeth and shiny hair. I actually do like to talk to people. Okay, so let's see here. Length of leg. Yep. Cool. Appreciate it, y'all. Thanks for your answer. My social dancing ballroom has come to a halt. Have a great day. Cool. Length of leg. That's right. That's what a comment of the day. Standard dancer. What tips can you give? Because me and my partner. Okay, so I have a lady inside from New Zealand inside my membership area who has the same thing. She sent me some videos. They have a substantial height difference. So you do find that. So his hip to heel versus your hip to heel ratios could be different. And I remember my coach Penny, she was the same. I'm 6'2", and my coach, she must have been like 5'3" or 4. But she'd always say, "Vaughan, darling, I will never compromise my dancing for a man." She would always stretch up to me, right? And okay, so I could not drive my steps as far as I could with my partner, but we could find the middle ground because the technique doesn't change, right? So I'm still going to use my heels the correct way. I'm still going to swing my legs. I'm still going to swing my leg through my hip. That's all going to still play out. I'm just going to be able to do it to the maximum degree. And remember, in competition, ideally, I mean, look, if you're a Masters competitor, don't worry about maximum dancing. If you're a dance sport competitor who's 18, who's got the world by the balls and wants to like go to Blackpool and win, your partner matters, right? Like you got to have someone who matches you physically. You got to look about you. Your legs can't have too much of a height difference because you need maximum range, right? In that regard. So if someone's half the leg height of yours, not good idea for competition if you're 18 or 20, right? But if you're a master competitor, it doesn't matter because your quality of movement will set you apart, okay? Your ability to move as one will set you apart because people don't do that. They just bash into each other, fight about it, and then, you know, blame each other. So anyways, you figure it out through using the same techniques and principles and then just shy back a little bit. So if the man's got the longer legs, he's the person that needs to just not push too hard going forward. You will find, and I'll just put this out to everyone. This is all dancers who love dancing like, you know, we all do. We're crazy, crazy people. You have to find your style. Say it again. You have to find your... Say it. You have to find your... You have to find your style, people, okay? You have to find your style. And how do you find your style, Liv? What do you do? What do you do? You understand your technique, and then you run with that and create your own thing off it, okay? Some people don't like how I dance. I don't care, right? I don't ask them. You know, I dance my thing. I do it my way, and I use the technique I know. And that's what you do. You create your own style. So figure out a nice way for you two to dance well that doesn't make you hate dancing, doesn't make you feel like you're getting kicked in the crotch or the legs, all right? First says, want too much money for social dance unless they always push aggressively. Yeah. That's just the sales thing. Like they're a business. They've got to make money, you know, they've got to keep going, and it isn't for everyone. So, and I've definitely learned you can't please everyone. So our studio here, we have one studio in Canberra, and then we have had a lot of people through it, lots of people through it. Probably 16,000 classes I think we've done in 10 years. And, you know, you don't please everyone, but I don't think you need to push people hard, like in terms of sales. I don't understand that. Like if people want to dance, they'll pay for it, you know? You don't have to like be too hardcore on the pushy sales stuff. That I'm in sales, like my whole life. I started my first business at 15 selling supplements. I have been down the road of, and then been in real estate. I've been down the road of being being pushy and being really hard, direct, and that sort of thing. I've just found that when you've got the right people, they will want to buy, and you have a way of influencing people by talking, but you don't need to push aggressively. Like, I understand that too, because I know Penny used to work for Arthur Murray's in London in the 70s, learning from Alex Moore, who wrote the technique books, right? And so she was based on commission, and they were always having to say, like, you've got to get people into the next lesson, you've got to sign people up, and people cringe with that, but that's a business model. It's how sales work, and it's the only way business can keep going. And obviously the franchise has done very well. But I understand what you say. Here's where I have a problem. Here's my personal opinion on this, right? Okay. So what I have a problem with is not necessarily like the tactic to get people into dance, because I think, if they've done it and people have said, okay, cool, and they want to dance, all right. What I hate is when people aren't honest about the dancing they see. And I have known people in some of these places where they've been told, don't say anything critical to people about dancing. I'm like, oh, you would be shocked with some of the shit that I say to my students. They love it though. They laugh their face off. And people on the channel here say, oh, you swear, don't swear. I was like, get the fuck off my channel. Right? Like, this is my channel. Go somewhere else, This is what I do. I will drop the F-bomb strategically in a class full of like 50-year-olds, and they're like, and they laugh their face off, right? And the reason I do that is it shocks them. But I will make fun of how bad they just danced. And guess what? People know it. They know it. They know that was horrible. It's great. Someone said it, and then we can fix it, right? We have fun with it. We don't just go, that was amazing. Well done. Give me more money. Like, I hate that mentality. And it's very, very strong in certain cultures. I think in Western cultures. So I personally think that you don't need to be the flip side of that, which is what typical dance teachers are known for, is being just an asshole, like being mean, don't waste my time, like if you're not going to practice, don't bother coming, you know what I mean? That sort of weird attitude too. There's a weird balance you need to have. You need to pull people up, but then you also need to ease off. It's like a push-pull motivation. And I don't get it right, but I would say that having a lot of regular people stay with us over the years, it doesn't suit everyone, but it suits the majority of dancers who love dancing, okay? People who are highly strung competitive dancers definitely need more of a whip. You got to really put that shit in line because it's difficult. But then you've got the people who just love dancing. The majority of dancers are social dancers who love dancing, who love medals. That requires push-pull, not push-push-push, because you push them out of dancing very quickly, yeah? If you tell people to practice and they're social dancers, they're going to quit, right? You don't need to tell somebody who loves dance sport to practice, because you've got to kick them out of the studio because they freaking love it, right? So it's learning how to read people. Does it make sense? So anyways, if you are running a studio or you notice that behavior happening, just be mindful, right? Just be mindful and go, like, there's always these psychology things happening underneath whatever we do. Okay, anyway. Live Nerd, super helpful. Focus on the center of gravity. Yeah, you'd know that from ballet. That idea of your center is everything, right? It's the the turn plane, right? The frontal plane of movement and the horizontal plane of movement, and then that's a direct center. And then the centers go, up through the body, I suppose. And yeah, those being in alignment is movement. And that's the sort of thing that we master through our version of technique. But movement principles are the same, okay? So if we run as professional runners, we have to understand how center and how to maximize movement, with and around the center, yeah? Okay, so let's see here. I stopped dancing for 7 years, been back on the floor for 3 months. Any tips to get my stamina back? Boom. 10 Dance. What's up, Jesse? Welcome back to 10 Dance. We're going to give you one of these. Party noise. Welcome back, my man. So, another one. Mm-hmm. What is happening? What is happening? Okay. This is great. So, yeah. Dude, yeah. Good thing is don't overcomplicate it. But 10 Dance is a lot to chew on, man. So, give me a little bit more info. All right, let me know. Give me a bit more info for your dancing. I would like to know, how many days a week are you training? How many private lessons are you doing? How many group classes? Just the basic stats. So if I know you're doing 3 days a week versus 5, if you're doing 1 day a week, I wish you the best of luck. I would say a prayer for you because 10 days is crazy. If you do 1 day a week, you're going to die. It's not going to work. But yeah, anyway. So let me know from basic stats and then I'll come back to that. Okay, so... this is awesome. Any tips on the shoulder leads in Foxtrot? Yeah, so you're doing Foxtrot, are you? Cool, that's cool. Foxtrot is just love yourself, okay, when you do the Foxtrot. Just self-care. Okay, be kind, pat yourself if you even step onto the floor. It's hard in the beginning, but it's a great dance. So there's definitely so there's a video I did here on the feather step on my channel. Go and watch it. Shoulder leads are very important, but you also have to know how to use CBM, contra body movement. So the idea is step, swing, sway. So you turn your body, and then you use a shoulder lead, and then you sway the body. So the tips really are, do you know where they are in your dancing? Because you don't do them all the time, right? Like you don't use CBM all the time. You cannot use a shoulder lead every time because you'd look like a zombie out of The Walking Dead. So it serves a function, right? So a tip to use a shoulder lead is it's very slight. So if you exaggerate it, so I'll give you, so I'm standing here. Here's my shoulders, they're square. My 4 points, 2, 1, 2, hip, hip, 3, 4. So if that's a square, if I could draw a square around me, whoa, that's not square. What could the eye dance? There's my square. So if I have that, that's no shoulder lead. A shoulder lead is when one side comes slightly forward or the other side is slightly held back. Either way is fine. Now, if I do too much, all right, I'm going to be literally turning too much. So just be careful when you do a shoulder lead, you don't exaggerate it. That's a big problem I find with people learning Foxtrot. They do a shoulder lead and all of a sudden they're like this. Is this good? It's like, that's not a shoulder lead. That's a shoulder in your face, okay? You're going to chew on your shoulder and look retarded. So you want to make sure that you turn the body. This is awesome. I'm in a chair. I'm going to just get my swing on. Right? My head's still, right? Body CBM. And then a little shoulder lead coming through. It's not lifting. So the definition of a shoulder lead, to probably help you, is literally whatever foot goes forward, that side of the body moves with it. That's it. And backwards is the same. So if I go backwards on the right foot, my right side goes with it. There's my shoulder lead. That's it. Done. Right? Don't overcomplicate it. Pay attention to the next step though. So when you have a shoulder lead in Foxtrot, you typically are going to follow it with a step in a position called CBMP, which is contra body movement position. So that's 2 tracks becoming 1. Okay. So that shoulder lead is what prepares the man to step outside you, and then you step into 1 track. That's where people die a death. They don't do that 3rd step very well. So watch that video on the feather step, okay? It will help you a lot. And then be kind to yourself. And then dedicate the next 80 years to mastering it. Okay. I tried working for Fred Astaire. I think it's a different world to compare. It is. Yes, of course, because they've created their own environment for dancing. So it's its own system. I've never worked with it, so I don't know it. But I've been part of some models like that. And so, they need sales, like any business, to keep going. They need buy-in from the customers. Then they need a roadmap for the customer to follow. And then they also need a unique property that you can't go elsewhere to get. So you go to Fred Astaire's, you can't go to Arthur Murray's, right? You can't come to my studio because you can, but you won't be able to do that, what they do there, because we don't do what they do. So that's their business model. It's how they keep buy-in, right? Okay, tips on timing your body weight for a feather and step in Foxtrot. Yeah, I'm giving you value today. If you like this, you just tap things, okay, and tell people. So I'm about to give some value on this, right? So tips on timing in Foxtrot, for sure. Yeah, because okay, so we have the feet hit the beat. So so if you're counting a slow 2 beats of music, here's the thing. Your foot goes forward, so your left foot will go forward for the first count on the slow, and then your right foot will collect literally equally on the second beat of that slow. So your foot should not be back here, for example. You want 1, 2. Then when you go into the quick part of the feather step, for example, the left foot goes forward, 3, and then the right foot goes into CBMP, 4. There's your feather. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it like that is you want to put on the quicks a little and count. So you want to go like this. All right, so you got your slow, 1, 2, and then you go 3 and to collect your foot, 4 and. So what you add in that little and count is collecting your feet in between. And the reason for that is because that's your body weight being collected. Because assume you got good posture and you're not leaning back or forward like a numpty. You want to make that, then your feet are responsible for, let's say, weight collection. And this is a much higher level question. So this has more detail. So a simple way of thinking about your dancing, stand with your feet apart. No, that went off. Stand with your feet apart for a second. Maybe I'll try this with another camera and just see how we go. Get the webcam up on here. Okay. Wow, let's just see if this works. Okay. So we'll stand with our feet apart, yeah? Feet together, yeah? Feet together. This is probably a better way to do it. This is a horrible idea. It's not going to work. Yeah, that's because of my attitude, right? Anyway, nope, can't even do it. Can't do it. Not while I'm live. Not right now. I'll come back to that. I'll make a video on this, actually. It'll be better. I've definitely gone through this in Boring Mastery Academy, but I want to explain it like this. Think of sending a text message, right? When you get a text message, all right, what did you do? You typed it, you sent it. It went up somewhere, came down somewhere else. So A to B. Every single step, even when you walk, just normally in life, your feet are closed, A. Then they go forward, B. Then they go again, A, B. Now, what happens is most dancers forget the collection before they take the next step, right? Or going through. That is where Foxtrot is mastered, because the collection of that is timed to the count perfectly. And so if you can get your feet to pass properly as the sort of first rule, then they're going to hit the next position well and then pass again correctly. Then what you aim to do is you time that. So you count 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then so slow, quick as an example. And then if you do that and your feet collect perfectly in the middle, it might feel a bit robotic, but what ends up happening is you end up collecting smoothly as you polish that, and your body weight collects on top of that without any interruption. And if that makes no sense to you, that's a very high level question. But there's foot speed and body speed in dancing, but they eventually meet and then go apart, meet and then go apart, meet and then go apart. So you write the text, you send the text, and you receive the text, and you've got this idea happening all the time. And then the mistakes most people make is they don't collect properly. So people think of stepping, but they don't think of collecting. And that's one of the big advantages to being on my channel, right? Because we're going to talk about collecting, okay? So thank you for that. I hope it made sense. Okay, so you train 4 days a week, 1 private a week. Cool. And you're doing all 10 dances. So tips for training 10 dance. Yeah, I have you know what? Go to boringmastery.com. There's a free dance planner there. I created that dance planner because I was starting to get very serious into 10 dance. And I figured, I'm not training effectively. I'm turning up every night. I don't know what to do. So I wrote out the dance, let's say cha-cha, what my weaknesses were, what I wanted it to look like, what I need to do, and what some exercises to do to strengthen it would be. So then I did that for each of the 10 dances. And that way when I turned up, I knew, okay, I'll do cha-cha tonight. And I knew what I would need to strengthen and focus on in that. And then I would do my routine, okay? And then same for Samba. Now, I at least got through more across the board that way, but you still need to understand you need time for your routines. So the way you structure your practice is going to matter. So for anyone who wants to know about practicing properly, there's a 7-step framework on my YouTube channel that you need to know if you're doing 10 dance. 7-step framework, just type that in, 7-step framework for dancing, Boring Mastery TV, and listen to it. It's a 20-minute deep dive into structuring practice properly. Then use that planner. You will fucking blow yourself away in the next year. You just will. You needed that F-bomb, okay, to understand the significance of the strategy I just gave you. So check it out. Then check back in with me and give me a high five and support the channel any way you want, right? So that'll rock your world, man. So boringmastery.com, 7-step framework for practice. You'll have more questions, fair enough, but check that out. Tips on mastering the Bops in Jive. I've definitely found the hardest style. Maintaining that up and down motion while doing is complicated, really hard. Yes. Great explanation. Do you drag the feet on the floor as the heels pass each other? Yes. You always have contact on the floor. If your feet come off the floor, you need to slap yourself in the face very hard, okay? And just tell yourself how naughty you are, all right? You can't allow that. Do not let your feet, unless you ronde, do not let your feet come off the floor in Foxtrot, okay? So I will just tell you, for all those dancers out there who are still with me, and you're amazing, you're still with me, this is great. The idea with ballroom dancing is your feet stay on the floor, but what makes, besides the collection, what makes beautiful movement? Are you ready, Liv? Are you ready, Jesse? What is it? It's actually the lowering. So if you're going backwards from a toe to a ball to a heel, if you drop the heel like a bogan, if you just push it down, you're going to have bad clumpy movement. If you lower it with control, you're going to have very smooth movement. And then if you collect your feet at the same time as doing that, you have world-class movement. You have the best movement you've ever seen. And that's what you know. That's why Foxtrot looks so smooth. It's smooth. And why does it look smooth for every dancer who can do Foxtrot? Because they understand this. They understand how to collect the weight and then how to lower the feet properly. Now, that's what the art of it is, because it's difficult to do that with a partner, okay? So you practice by walking around the room with your partner if you have one. You really do. You just practice walking, but you notice how quickly and abruptly your feet might lower. And the smoother you make that, the smoother the movement becomes. How often do I have a live stream? Like twice a week, 2 or 3 times a week. I mean, I'm saying that now because I just set up my new office. You like my office? It's my party zone, yeah? So I figured I would do more streams for you all. I'm not sure on direct times because I generally finish teaching in the studio late at night. I come in here because no one's around. It's quieter for me, and I can swear obscenely and just get cranky grandmas to comment, but I don't have to hear people out here worry. Okay, so I basically try to, tonight where I am in Eastern Australian time, it is 12:32 in the morning. Holy God. All right, so so sometime around 10 to 12 p.m., maybe on a Tuesday and a Wednesday each week, I'll try to do these things, okay? So yeah, feel free to just subscribe, get notifications and those sorts of things, and then I will do these where I can. And you know, do you like them? Do you like this idea? This is pretty cool. I also, so in the members area of the offer I have below, I actually do this in my studio. So you can write me this question, all these questions you've asked me, for example, and I would demonstrate it with cameras up on my feet, and I would go into more detail so you could practically do it. And it's a bit more interactive that way. So again, it's only $150 for the year, so it's very, very cheap. And it's a lot more interaction with you and me. This is also helpful. Oh, you're so welcome, Jane. I really appreciate you. I appreciate all y'all. This is amazing. Like, it means a lot to me because in the beginning, it was like a ghost town. I was just talking to myself. So it's wonderful having you all here. I thank you for that. All right, I might finish up. I will whack this. The link is in the window. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything at the moment. Tips on your body weight. Yeah, so thanks, Rich. Edgaras, Liv, Legend, Gabby, Jesse. Yeah, so you might want to go back through. You can skip parts, of course, and then check out those resources that I sent you. So the resources are, we have 3 resources. Okay. Ballroommastery.tv, there's a free masterclass on movement and arms and posture. Ballroommastery.com is an ultimate dance planner for those who need help with their training and with their guidance on what I use literally to go from completely rubbish dancer to World 10 dance representative. Okay, use this to train over that period and refine it as I went. You can have it for free. From a paid perspective, there's 50% off Ballroom Mastery access, where you get my technique lessons, and over a year and a half at your own pace, I will teach you every ballroom and Latin dance step, the do's and don'ts, the mistakes for both man and lady, how to dance it, plus warm-ups, plus mindset. It's got super value. It's $150. Come on, right? And then on top of that is my live workshops once a month where you can ask me questions and I'll go deep dive with actual demonstrations. So lots of value there. Click the links, and I love having you. Thank you for everything. It's been wonderful. Let's see. Let's get some party vibes up in here. I'm going to just finish it off with let's put on some music to finish off, everybody. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful week, okay?